Hi and welcome to our channel. I'm Jennifer and this is Kate, and what have we been reading this September?
Today we're taking a look, so let's find out.
So we're going to go ahead and start with this book, Christ in Dachau, which was our September Catholic read-along book from Sophia Institute Press. It is the true story of Father John Lenz, who was a Catholic priest, and he was a prisoner in Dachau and a few other concentration camps during World War II. Like prisoner for a long time, like years and years, over 5 years.
So if you're thinking like, ooh, concentration camps, I don't want to read about that, tough topic, then you're not alone, because we felt the exact same way when we unboxed this book.
When Kate took it out of the package, I thought, oh, it had to be a concentration camp because it's so tragic, so hard to read about. And so I thought this would be good penitential reading. I took it to confession with me to read while I waited in line. And then I accidentally left it behind in the pew, so I lost it.
But, you know, hard topic. Oh, we lost it. What a shame. Can't read it now.
Darn, yeah.
But it did come back to us. Someone put it in the lost and found, so we could not escape.
A good Samaritan, God bless whoever it was, turned it in, so we did get it back. But thank goodness, because this book, wow, so amazing, just so unexpected, just so good in so many ways.
So we did put this one on our Catholic must-read list. So we're going to do a separate, more in-depth and complete review of it in another video. So stay tuned for that one.
My first book is a big one. It's this one, The Worlds of Tommy Paula. The art and stories of the legendary artist and author. So it is no secret here that we are huge Tommy Paula fans, and since we just took a trip to Santa Fe, New Mexico, which was a town that he really enjoyed visiting and really loved it, I thought, well, this is the perfect time to read this book, and it did not disappoint. It was so good. Of course, it's full of, all his beautiful artwork. He was so gifted. But it also takes you behind the scenes into his life, and it gives you a glimpse into the world of children's book publishing, which is fascinating all by itself. For instance, at one point, one of his editors came to his studio and saw a couple of Mother Goose pictures on the wall, and she said, Tommy, you really should illustrate a whole book of Mother Goose nursery rhymes. And he said, yeah, no, I don't think so. Really, does the world really need another Mother Goose book? But eventually he warmed up to the idea, and he started researching the old tales, and he really got into it, luckily for us, because he produced a really wonderful children's book with his unique illustrations. Throughout the book, I was able to see the evolution of his style as an artist, so that was really cool. But I also realized that, we don't have a lot of the books that he wrote and illustrated. He wrote a lot more than I even realized. So I made a list of the ones that we don't have, and I've been keeping an eye out for them as I go about thrifting and go to used book sales, and I've already added a couple of new titles to our collection. And finally, I was thrilled to learn that he was a huge popcorn fan. I kind of knew that already because he wrote a book about popcorn, but I didn't know that in his studio he actually had a full-size movie popcorn style maker, and he made popcorn all the time. And since I also love popcorn, Tommy and I, we can definitely be best friends forever. So I think this is a must read for any Tommy Paula fan, and I'm giving it 5 out of 5 stars.
Alright, so I started off my month by reading a lot of sequels, which makes this video a little bit difficult because I have talked about all of these series in what we've been reading videos before. So I didn't want to get all repetitive and talk about them all in depth again, but this is what we've been reading, so I did want to discuss it to give you a look at what I've been reading in the month of September. So my first sequel is Bound to Find Freedom by Teresa Linden. This is a little short story in her Liberty trilogy, that dystopian world. It was a fun little prequel, just a little night of reading. It is a very short story, but it was fun looking at the characters again, getting a little backstory, and just taking another little dive into the Liberty trilogy world. My next sequel in September was Cold Clay by Juno Black. This is the sequel to Shady Hollow, which I talked about last month. I didn't rate this book as high as I rated Shady Hollow, but it still was a lot of fun, super cute. I read it on vacation, so I was just able to fly through it. I had a really good time, and I definitely will still be continuing on with the series. So you will find me in a bookstore very soon buying book number 3. And then my last sequels were books 10, 11, and 12 in the Roman Mystery series. This is like an elementary, middle school type of series, but I've had a lot of fun reading it over the years. These books I was just able to binge through on my days off. Funnily enough, these were all very different books, despite being right next to each other in the series, especially book 11. This book was something else, but I enjoyed it. I learned a lot about old Roman days, and I am now 3 steps closer to working my way through the whole of this series.
My next book is The Song of Bernadette by Franz Werfel. This past summer, we saw a movie about Lourdes called The Miracle Club, and that made me realize that I had seen The Song of Bernadette as a movie like way back in the day. It's been years, but I had never read the book. So I thought, I just need to read this book. I tracked it down as an audiobook on Hoopla and I listened to it and it was just so good. So of course it is the story of Saint Bernadette Soubirous and the apparitions of the Blessed Mother in the Lourdes Grotto back in the late 1800s. But also there's an interesting story about the author connected to the book. Franz Werfel was a Jewish man in 1940 and during World War II, not a good time to be Jewish, and he was trying to escape Nazi Germany. So for a time, he and his wife were hiding out in Lourdes. And while he was there, he heard the whole story of Saint Bernadette, and he was so impressed that he made a vow, if my wife and I make it safely to America, then I will write the Song of Bernadette and tell the whole world her story, which he did. So I am well familiar with the story of Lourdes because we are definitely huge fans of Our Lady of Lourdes here, but this book has a lot of detail in it that I had never heard before. For instance, I knew that Bernadette was kind and patient and that she didn't have a really great education and that she came from a very poor family, but I also didn't realize that she was very intelligent. Just because she didn't have a good education didn't make her, stupid. She was definitely very bright, but she was also a gifted artist. I didn't know that for some reason. When she was a nun later in life, she did beautiful embroidery work and also paintings and sketches in the convent. I mean, just like a bona fide artist. So I have been trying to track down her artwork online because I would love to see it, but I've not had any luck. I'll keep you posted on how that goes. So if you're a Lourdes fan and you've never read The Song of Bernadette, it is just time. Go find a copy and read it. If it's been a long time since you've watched the movie, like I haven't watched it, I don't know, in probably 20, 30 years, it's definitely time to rewatch it, which I plan to do. So this was another 5-star read for me. I definitely recommend it for anyone, especially if you're a fan of Lourdes.
So my other book that I wanted to talk about today is The Train to Impossible Places by P.G. Bell. So this one was a random used bookstore find, just picked it up, thought it looked like fun for a couple of dollars. So this one follows Susie, who just is living a normal life until the impossible postal express shows up in her living room. And what do you do if a magical train shows up in your living room? You sneak on board, of course. And that is exactly what Susie does. And she ends up as a deputy to the postmaster who runs the train. But on her very first delivery in this magical world, the package itself begs her not to deliver it. And so obviously, of course, this fun adventure unfolds from there. So I feel like middle grade has been in a really good place the past couple of years. These stories are so rich and fun and creative, super vibrant, and I think this book is a great example of it. There's all sorts of crazy, wild stuff in this book, all these different places, like Trollville and the underwater pirate ship with the ghost pirates, and you have the train and the stone statue guards, all sorts of crazy stuff. It's an awesome adventure. I never knew what the author was going to come up with next or where we were going to go next. It's just one of the books that I would absolutely describe as super, super creative. and absolutely insane at the same time. So this book was a 4 out of 5 stars for me. It is the first book in a trilogy, and I would definitely recommend it if you want some like fun, crazy, lighthearted reading.
So my last book is Writer From Think to Ink by Gail Carson Levine. She wrote Ella Enchanted and several other books based on fairy tales. This book is like a compilation of questions that writers have submitted to her writing blog, and in the book she answers them. So she takes you through the whole process of writing a book, from thinking up your plot, your characters, structuring the story, to ink, to all the details of getting a book published. So it's a really fun look into the world of writing. I have to say, she is just so creative. She just blew me away. She was spitting out story ideas right and left, and sometimes she would be talking about something and I would think, wait, is that a book? Because if that's a book, I would like to read it. And then I would realize, no, it's just one of her crazy ideas, but it would always sound so much fun. So who is this book for? If you're a writer, or if you have a child who likes to write, this book is for you. But if you're not a writer, or even if you don't like writing, this book is also for you because it shows you just how much fun the world of writing could be. If you homeschool, you could even use this book as a whole creative writing curriculum, because at the end of each chapter, she gives you different writing prompts. So there you go, writing assignments. She also ends each chapter with some wise words. She says, have fun and save your writing. Have fun because writing should be fun, and also save your writing because even if you don't like what you wrote, even if you don't think it's good or you can't use it for whatever you're working on, just save it because number one, it's fun to go back and read. It might be better than you think, and maybe you could use it later. So I think this book has a large audience that it could appeal to. Now, she does write a lot about fairy tales and magic, so there is some of that in there. Just heads up if that's not your thing. But I truly enjoyed it, and I'm giving it 4 out of 5 stars. So of course I have to throw in a little bonus book, and this month it is Professor Diggins' Dragons by Felice Holman, which is a vintage book from the Weekly Reader Children's Book Club. But when I saw it, I mean, come on, look at this cover. I just had to read this, and I am so glad I did because I enjoyed it thoroughly. I don't want to give away too many spoilers about the plot, but I'll just say this. Professor Diggins is a university professor, and he's in trouble at work because all of a sudden he's obsessed with dragons and dragon hunting, and he's acting like dragons are real. That is making everyone nervous, and they're thinking like, how can we just retire him and just shuffle him off, because obviously he's not right in the head anymore. So Professor Diggins has no clue that they're thinking this, and he just goes off for the summer to do research, and he takes a group of children with him to the beach, and part of their research is going to be hunting down dragons. That's all I'm going to say. I didn't read any plot summary of this before I just read the book, and I'm really glad I didn't, because there is a powerful, wonderful message at the end that just came upon me by surprise, and I was just glad it happened that way. This is an excellent book for your beginning chapter book readers, and I think is well worth handing down a copy.
All right, so that was a look at our reading for September.
We definitely have quite a stack here, but we were on vacation for a week, so we had a chance to read in airports and airplanes, that type of thing.
So let us know down in the comments what some of your reading from September has been, and if you have read any of the books we talked about.
If you have read Christ in Dachau, let us know, because wow. Okay, but we'll talk more about that one later.
So we hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.